we are going to be talking about today in the masterclass is outsourcing. So this is a really interesting topic and something that I think is very much underestimated. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Carly and I am a productivity coach. I'm helping entrepreneurial mums who are trying to lift their plans off the page. So all that means is that if you've got a dream or an idea and you're a mum, and it doesn't matter at what stage of motherhood you're in, if you're at early stages with a newborn, or if you are a grandma who's starting to look after the little ones again, the journey of motherhood does place a lot of challenges for us in terms of how we manage our time and how we make sure that we are supporting our family around us. One of the tricky things that I found becoming a mum, I was always very organized, very proactive, and before becoming a mum. But once I became a mum, there was a pressure more so put upon myself, whether or not it's a society's expectation of we have to do everything. And I used to be able to do everything. I loved and prided myself on being independent. I loved being financially independent and having my own career in education. But once I became a mum, that mindset of I have to do everything and it has to be done extremely well was extremely hard to maintain, especially in those first, for me, 2 years of becoming a mum. I was exhausted. I was suffering from health issues post baby, and I had moved town and I didn't have that network of support around me. So this is where I found that if I wanted to thrive as a mum, if I wanted to be productive and live my best potential, I knew that I had to think outside of the box. I had to get out of my comfort zone and I had to figure out a way that I could be my best productive self. And one of the things that I found, and it was very hard at first, was outsourcing. So for us today, the main purpose is to understand what outsourcing is, the challenges that a lot of mums have as a mindset around outsourcing, and having a look at brainstorming creative ways that we can outsource, some that are financial and some that aren't. So I hope that you're going to enjoy this masterclass. So as I said, for many of us, the concept of reaching out for help or reaching out for assistance is a way of us feeling like that we are not being able to do it all. There's a pressure that's put on whether or not ourselves of being this super woman, to be an empowered woman. And I very much love and thrive on being an independent woman. However, independent doesn't mean I have to be isolated. It doesn't mean that we have to be alone. It doesn't mean that we have to be isolated in doing and completing everything. So that is a real big challenge, because one, this is just me speaking, there was a bit of pride. There was a bit of pride that I had to swallow, saying, I am not an expert in everything and I need some help. I'm not an expert in everything and I need some help, because I didn't have this abundance of energy anymore. I was tired. I was fatigued. Things were getting on top of me. That sense of overwhelm was creeping up. And I could see that if I didn't get some help around me, that I was going to slip pretty quick. And that was just in my first few years of motherhood. And I've taken that practice with me, and me, flowing on forward. And And it's interesting. I sat down and I was speaking with my uh, grandmother who is turning 94, and there was a conversation that we had about how motherhood and how it has changed over the years. It never used to be just mum at home with the baby, and then we would go out to the shops. It used to be a lot of mum at home, and then there was no fences between the houses, she was saying, so that you would be in close contact with the other women next door and the other women around the street. And that they bound together as a community. And there was a lot of women community groups, like uh, I think my nan was saying that she had like a craft group and just other small little groups that she used to go to, or they did a lot of charity work where they were connecting with other people in the community and they were giving their best skills. So that, in a sense, they were outsourcing their gifts and to others that needed to receive. And I think that that's something that has been lost, but it's not forgotten. We know that we work best when we are working together as a community. So that's something that we need to, we'll have a little bit more to talk about later. So when I say outsourcing, what does that mean? For me, the first thing I thought was money. This is going to cost me a lot of money. And in those early stages of motherhood, I didn't want to be outlaying lots and lots of money for help. I just didn't feel comfortable because I wasn't sure of what was going to be coming up. So outsourcing is, all it is really is it's the transference, it's the obtaining a goods or services by a contract from an outside supplier. I'll say that again because I stumbled a bit. Outsourcing is obtaining goods or services by contract from an outside supplier. So some examples of outsourcing that you might be more common with is your cleaning, your gardening, your lawn mowing guy, babysitting. But other ones that you mightn't be so aware of is things that you can do that are a little bit more specific niche. Like you can get people in as a stylist, you can get people in as photographers, resume writers, content writers, dog walkers, you've got freelance writers, and I have used, and this was absolutely amazing, was a house organizer. Yes, there are people who will come in and organize your house. And so there's some different types of outsourcing. And the one thing with today's technology is that you can get people to do, and you can find people to do anything, just about anything. If you're having trouble with a very, very specific or very niche problem, there are different apps and different groups that can help you with finding some outsourcing there. And they don't have to be super expensive. They don't have to be super expensive. The other thing that I would like to remind you is that with outsourcing, it doesn't always have to be consistent. For example, if you get a cleaner in and you're at that stage where, I just need a little bit of help, pardon me. For example, my kids, we had this bout, my son was in daycare and I was heavily pregnant, and I apologize, this is not extremely nice, but there was an outbreak of gastro at the Sunshine Coast, and he unfortunately brought that home, and it was horrible. I was heavily pregnant, dealing with that, and I was not coping. So for that period of time, and I didn't want to be working with bleach, I outsourced a cleaner to come in, and she bleached the whole house. And whether it was the bleach or the end of the cycle, but we had no more outbreaks after that, and I was at peace, and I had my baby I think it was about 2 weeks after that. So it was wonderful. It was wonderful being able to outsource for someone who could come in just for that short period of time to fix that problem, rather than trying to be the superwoman and do it all. It was absolutely amazing. So just be reminded, you don't have to have your outsourcing done consistently. It can be coming in to fix one specific problem, or for example, it could be a seasonal thing. I also outsource. We have very high windows. Outsourcing, once a year or twice a year to have the windows cleaned. This sort of stuff, it allows you to spend more time on doing what you thrive at. So there are also ways that we can have a look at, if you are not in the position to be spending money at all on any outside help, that's perfectly okay. One of the things that I did, especially with my first child, was to set a contract with my neighbor. She lived across the road, and we had a very good relationship. And I said, would you be able to, every Tuesday between this time and this time, look after my little one? And what was amazing about this was that she had consistency, I had consistency, and what it enabled us to do was, for me, I could have that time away from being in the house. I could get things that needed to be done. Generally, it was, I just got out of the shops and we had a look at, I just had time by myself. And for her, pardon me, she got to spend time with this beautiful little guy, and she absolutely loved it. She found it was a great bonding time, being with my son, and yet it gave her a good sense of joy, because at that particular time, all of her grandkids were far away, and she's a natural mum. She had many kids herself. She gave me all these amazing tips and tricks, and it was just so nice. Even outsourcing to someone without that financial reward, it's amazing how by connecting with your community, you can be giving back to people gifts that you don't even realize. Another one was that I organized, later on, I organized a similar sort of thing with another friend, and making sure, pardon me, that we set a specific time and that we respected each other's boundaries in terms of not pushing it for too long. If you don't want to do a regular or consistent outsourcing like I had with my neighbor, I had a friend, and I'll be talking about strengths and weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is I could not figure out for the life of me how to organize Tupperware. Once I became a mum, the amount of Tupperware with bottles and all this sort of stuff, and then I'd moved up to the Sunshine Coast, I just couldn't. My drawer was so unorganized, and there was always stress when it came to trying to figure out where stuff was. It was causing me not a lot, but it's just that one extra little thing that was causing frustration in my days. Looking at this horrible, horrible Tupperware drawer, and also my pantry. And I have a friend, and her name's Tanya, and she has just a natural gift for organizing. She can see it. She knows how it should be organized. And I asked her, I said, Tanya, can you just come over and you have full reign and just do it? You organize. And she did. She managed the job. I tried doing it the week before, and it took me 2 days, and it was just an absolute mess. Pardon me, it didn't work. She came in an hour and a half, and it was fixed, and I've stuck with her system. ever since. So sometimes we really, really need to make sure that we play to our strengths and our weaknesses. So what do I mean by strengths and weaknesses? When you're outsourcing, what you're trying to do is get someone in who is a bit more of an expert in the areas that are your weaknesses. And for us who are trying to, or who have that mindset of, I'm a mum, I have to do everything, that's my job, I must do everything, it's a big challenge. So one of the things is shifting a mindset to being, well, I am a great mum, I'm trying to be a productive mum. Pardon me, I apologize. So what does it mean to be a productive mum? A productive mum is someone who is trying to create, who can be efficient, who can be consistent, who creates a product that is of high quality. Now, I apologize. If this is where you need to honor your strengths, and you also really need to honor your weaknesses, and that can be very confronting. So what do I mean by honoring your strengths, and what do I mean by honoring your weaknesses? So knowing your strengths, it could be your personality traits, it could be the things that you are good at. Your strengths, my strengths are patience, that ability to think creatively, to think outside of the box in lots of different scenarios. Empathy, one of my strengths is dance, perseverance, and I'm a natural preparer. I love and I thrive on being prepared for different events, and I find it easy to think ahead and back plan. And I guess that's also a bit of a trained skill from my years of teaching. That's the process that we needed to have as well. My weakness is also this cough that won't fade away. So I do apologize, but that will fade. Another weakness is that from other people that have said to me that when asked to speak my opinion, I speak very my version of the truth, which sometimes, that's just something that people have said, oh, that's a weakness. Another thing is I'm not very good at laundry. Not very good at doing the laundry. Working on it, always trying to outsource different ways of mine is more for coaching, and when it gets too much, outsourcing some help. Like I said, organizing Tupperware, technology, really big weakness of mine, not very good at it. So making sure that I outsource help to fix problems there. Cleaning, not a big strength of mine. I love a clean house, but just not my strength. And I'd love to know what yours are. And that's quite hard, is to honor our weaknesses, and that's okay. It is okay to have things that you aren't strong at, and that might be our point in time weakness. So that might be a point in time weakness. It might mean that there's an area that you need to outsource to get the training that you want or that you need. It doesn't have to be, this is a defining aspect of me and this is where I'll stay. So keep that in mind. Do I need outsourcing to help me with it, or do I need outsourcing to train me to figure out how to do it? Okay, so what I would love to know is what you are having trouble with. What do you feel your weaknesses are that you need help with outsourcing? For some of you, it may be that you just can't find time to do things. That is one of the things that, throughout my teaching journey and into my motherhood journey, it's one of the things that people have always said, I just don't know how to make time for this. I don't know how to figure out how to fit this into my time. That's one of my strengths. I had always had great skills at timetabling, time management, and that came from having an absolutely amazing teacher who pointed out that you need to be able to use your time. Sharon Gilly, she was my last prac teacher, and she said, you need to be able to harness your time. You need to be productive. You're an extremely creative person, and the lessons were amazing, but they are bigger than Ben-Hur. They were taking so much energy to set up, and she said is not what's selling the lesson. It's your ability to tell a story, its ability to be able to connect. It's not all the bells and whistles. So you need to learn how to be productive. So that was a big lesson that I've taken over my 12 years of teaching, and then on through motherhood. That was what my strength was, and that I really would love to work with you on, is to outsource. If you are unable to figure out how to make everything fit in, if you can't figure out how to be a mum, have that balance of who you are and keep your identity, which can be really challenging, and also have a plan or a dream that you want to lift off the page. You can't figure out how to fit that into your lifestyle. That's what my strength is. That's why I have created my business, and that's what I hope to work with you on. So today, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what I would like to be able to work with you, is to figure out where your strengths are, what your weaknesses are in both your personal and your professional or your dreams and plans, goals. And I'd like to work with you to to help lift that plan off the page and to create a sustainable way forward. So for those of you who have stayed through to the end, I'd like to say thank you very much. And as a gift, I'd love to offer you a free 30-minute consultation with me on how we can start making that productive lifestyle happen for you, how we can make your plans lift off the page. This is what my passion is. I'd love to share it with you. I'd love to work with you in helping you lift your plans off the page, help you to be the most productive mum that you can, and to get rid of that mum guilt, to remove that sense that we need to do everything. We are wonderful women, and we work best when we work together. So that is my passion, and that is my message for you. So thank you once again for joining me. If you'd like to join for a free 30-minute consultation, hit me up in the comments, and I look forward to working with you. Have a wonderful day. Take care.